Let us look at this intention of Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to increase the salaries of political office holders. From what we can see, they make us understand that the president collects salary of 1.5 million currently. But I'll quickly read from the Punch so that we'll have a sense of what we're discussing here. Let me read from the Punch. Federal government moves pay raise for political office holders. You go further to say that the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has hinted at plans to review the salaries of political office holders in Nigeria, describing the current earnings as inadequate, unrealistic, and outdated in the face of rising responsibilities and economic challenges. You go further to say that at a press briefing in Abuja on Monday, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission Chairman Mohammed Shehu disclosed that President Bola Tinubu'S presently earns 1.5 million monthly, while ministers receive less than 1 million, figures that have remained unchanged since 2008. He said you are paying the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1.5 million a month with a population of over 200 million people. Everybody believes that it is a joke, Shehu said. He added, you cannot pay a minister less than 1 million per month since 2008 and expecting to put in his best without necessarily being involved in some other things. You go further to say that you pay either a CBN governor or the DG 10 times more than you pay the president. That is just not right. Or you pay him, the head of an agency, 20 times, or you pay the head of an agency 20 times higher than the Attorney General of the Federation. That is absolutely not right. But the Nigerian Labour Congress kicked against the plan by the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission to review upward the salaries of political office holders, saying the proposal ignores countries' worsening inequality and hidden perks that already inflate earnings in government. Let me stop there. The point here is, just like the Labour Congress is talking about, the perks that come with the office, nobody is telling us that. And another thing is the security votes, nobody is telling us that. Though in Nigeria, but I want to believe that the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, they only play to the gallery, because for me, they only want to be in the good book of the government. Because the way it stands, there is no way Nigerians will believe that the people who are in government, whether the president, the governors, the ministers, or even National Assembly members, that they are suffering as a result of the inadequate revenue or remuneration they are earning. Because though nobody have directly probed any Nigerian past president, but if you look at the governors, former governors who have been probed in the past, sometimes who were convicted, you will understand that in any case, any governor is being probed, you'll be talking about billions of naira, if not trillions of naira. So you begin to ask, where do they derive such money? For instance, we understand that 2 former governors were even convicted in the past, and the amount involved run into billions of naira. So the question is, if their salary is less than 1 million, or 1 million as the case may be, or a little bit above 1 million, where do they get all the billions of naira they embezzle? So the question is, what the government, or rather what we should be discussing now, is not the salary for political office holders. We should be thinking of how to deepen this democracy, how to make sure that the democracy works, how to address the challenges that is confronting everybody, how to solve the issue of insecurity, how to make sure that we cut the cost of governance, how to ensure that those who are in government actually prudently manage government resources that are privileged to manage, how to ensure that government personalities, political office holders, do not break the trust reposed in them. For me, I think, just like I said, the agency of government, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is playing to the gallery, though they have told the Labour Congress, organized labor, that it is not within their purview to determine the salaries of labor unions or other civil servants, that what behoves on them to determine is the salary of political office holders, like the president, like the ministers, and all of that. But the question here is, I don't think this is the priority of Nigeria currently. As we speak, there is a high level of insecurity that needs everybody's attention, that needs concerted effort to address. As we speak, the issue of how to get it right with the electoral process is a major challenge. I think those are the things that should be bothering the mind of any patriotic Nigerian. Because if we go into the next round of election with the current electoral act we use in 2023, I want to say that we'll come back to start singing the same song. Song of the process reportedly being hijacked. As we speak, we have had a situation where even recently a Canadian court already tagged PDP and APC terrorist organization. And the reason is not far-fetched. Reason being how they coerce people, how they use violence to perpetrate themselves into power. Just like Father has said, instead of PDP and APC condemning the court, they should take urgent steps to address the concerns. Because we are already preparing for another round of election. And if is not taken, most of those anomalies that characterize Nigerian election, that makes Nigerian politics or democracy fall short of the best standard world over, will equally characterize that election. If we go into that election without amending some relevant sections of the Electoral Act, I would say that all the whole exercise of trying to get it right will be a mirage. Particularly amending section 82 of the Electoral Act that empowers INEC, that confers the power of liberty on INEC to determine the mode of transmission of election results. Because before 2023 election, stakeholders came together, there was necessary pressure on INEC. And INEC, there was necessary pressure on National Assembly. And at the end of the day, National Assembly amended the Electoral Act and gave INEC the liberty, the discretion to determine the mode of transmission of election results. And when INEC would come up with their guideline, they were emphatic that they were going to transmit election results electronically. But surprisingly, at the nick of time, they reneged. And that renege is the bane of all the manipulation that took place in that election. Because after that election, we saw P2B and Labour Party, saw Atiku and PDP challenging the electoral results all to Supreme Court. Before Supreme Court legitimized the election and result declared by INEC that Tinubu won the election. So the question is, those are the things that should be agitating the mind of Nigerians, not pay rise or pay raise for political office holders. We're actually looking at how do we now ensure that when cases go into electoral tribunal, the people who were rigged out allegedly get justice. A situation where the burden of proof, whether the election was rigged or not, lies with the petitioner. That is what I'm equally advocating. That let that burden of proof be removed from the petitioner. Let it be placed on the umpire. Reason is simple. Because the umpire is the one that conducted the election. So let the umpire be the one that go to court to prove beyond reasonable doubt that the election result he declared is correct. Because we have seen instances where the petitioner will be requiring some relevant documents to prosecute his case at the level of electoral tribunal or even in a higher court after electoral tribunal. The umpire, or rather the agents of government that are in custody of the electoral materials or the necessary documents will be foot dragging, and in some cases will be frustrating all the effort of the petitioner to get those documents. But if the umpire that is in custody of the documents and that conducts the election now have the burden of proof, I think it will be more easier. And again, it will now make the personnel who are posted to conduct election to be more responsible. Because even in the last subsequent election we saw recently, we can clearly see how it was alleged that a politician took beavers, electoral materials, to his personal residence. Equally, he even took the effort of the majority leader or House of Assembly of a particular state or in that particular state to even go and confront the politician in his house, being surrounded by security agencies. And these are security agencies who know the law, who know that it behoves on them to even make sure that we do the right thing. Still watching a politician, an individual, moving beavers and electoral materials to his private residence. In a safe society, those security personnel will even arrest the politician. But in this instance in Nigeria, it is even the police that protects the politician. And apart from that, the majority leader was even alleging that they even threatened to shoot him. So I think these are the things that should be agitating the mind of Nigerians. We're even quite talking about if you arrest someone who reportedly, ostensibly, or allegedly committed infraction, violated the Electoral Act during election, maybe ballot stuffing, maybe violence, maybe ballot snatching, voter suppression, any form of violation of the Electoral Act or even the law generally. It is the prosecution of such person that will make the process credible. It is the prosecution of such person that will deter other people from committing the same crime. But we have seen instances where after the election, definitely arrests will be made, but we seldom see seriousness in prosecuting those who are arrested. But one thing is certain, if people are arrested at the end of the day, given a slap on the wrist and asked to go, it will not deter people from committing the same crime. So until we start building strong institutions rather than strong individuals, we cannot get out of this present quagmire. So it is unimaginable that in the face of all these challenges, what an agency of government, I know that their responsibility is to review remuneration of political office holders, but I don't think the president, the senators, the House of Rep members, or even House of Assembly members, the governors, I don't think remuneration is their challenge. I only see the agency talking about this revenue mobilization, allocation, and fiscal commission. I only see them as wanting to be in the good book of the politicians. That is just what I can fathom out of the whole issue. Because, just like I said earlier on, we have seen so many cases where former governors were accused of mismanagement of government funds, were accused of breach of the trust reposed in them by tampering with the resources of the state they governed. And we have seen instances where EFCC will secure conviction, particularly under Muhammadu Buhari. We saw two major convictions involving two former governors. Though unfortunately, the then president, talking about Muhammadu Buhari, used his prerogative of mercy to pardon those governors. But the inference I'm drawing from there is, if a governor can mismanage, embezzle 10 billion, 20 billion, 5 billion, as the case may be. So imagine what the president could have embezzled. Though, like I said earlier on, nobody has proven any former president to actually unravel their dealings in office. But there's a perception that if the governors are corrupt, the former presidents are equally corrupt. And if that is the situation, then what sense does it make to say you are telling the world, telling Nigerians that the president go home with 1.5 million? That the ministers go home with less than 1 million. So I think what is important as a people, as a country, is the challenges that confront us is what we should be looking at how to resolve. Not this. For me, this is just a distraction. But I will say very big thank you for your time. This is Labidam and I'm Mr. Matthew. Thank you very much for your time.